I'm also going to actually start out by thanking the Corps of Engineers, Secretary Darcy, General Bostic, and also General Walsh, who's right behind you, for the work that all of you did on behalf of the Fargo, Moorhead, Red River Valley region of North Dakota and Minnesota. Once again, had flooding there. That makes 4 out of the last 5 years. Wow. You have been deeply involved not only in the annual flood fight, but in the permanent flood protection. We thank you for that very much. That project is part of the WRDA bill, which I believe will move forward. And so I guess what I would like to just start out with, General Bostic, is just asking for your continued help on that project. This is a case where 55% of the cost will be borne locally. So actually the Corps goes, or the federal government goes from 75 to 90% of the cost in the annual flood fight to the permanent project where it's only 45%. And we have permanent protection instead of fighting that perennial flood. Just would like an update from you in terms of your understanding of the project, your willingness to continue the help and support, and of course I'd like to invite you to come out and see us too.
Senator, I do understand the importance of the project, and we are committed to keeping that as one of the key projects that we continue to look at to make sure that as we go through the budgeting process that it gets a fair review. And I know the troops that are up there doing the flood fighting have worked hard over the last 4 floods that have occurred, and we've kept a close eye on them and provided the kind of support that we can from here and visited them when we could.
Yeah, it's absolutely our #1 project. It's 2 states, North Dakota and Minnesota. Your help's been very much appreciated. Your continued help is really needed.
We will do that.
Secretary, I'm going to bring up a subject that you probably can guess, because you and I have talked about it many times. And I'm going to start with a question. If the state of North Dakota or South Dakota or Nebraska or Kansas or Missouri were to draw water out of the Missouri River, would you charge them for that if they were to draw water out of the Missouri River? Or would you say they're entitled to that water?
The water is a determination made by the states. It's a state's water rights issue.
So the states have water rights. They're entitled to water from those rivers, you would say?
Yes, sir.
But if a state gives up land so that you could flood that land in order to protect other states downstream, and then they were to draw some of their water out of that reservoir, you then would say they should be charged for that. That's fair and appropriate in your opinion?
Under the 2 statutes, both the Flood Control Act of '44 and the Water Control Act of 1958, the Corps of Engineers is required to charge a reasonable price for water at their facilities on the fixed loan project.
So they've been shirking their responsibility for over 60 years? Is that what you're saying? So the Corps has been not following the law for 60 years. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. There are 2 different statutes. One involves water, the storage of, provides water supply storage. The other is for surplus storage. Under the surplus storage, we have not been charging.
So it gets to pick and choose which law it follows.
I wouldn't like to put it that way, but I believe that we are bound by the law to charge a reasonable price for.
My next question is, so if you continue a study and for any reason at the end of the study decide to charge all of these states for water, hopefully you'll come to the right conclusion, which is to not charge. But if you should, you understand that there will be litigation, and so, because that's been promised by states up and down the river. So I'm wondering, do you have a line item in your budget to cover the costs of that litigation from the states?
No, Senator, we do not. What's currently being developed within the Army Corps of Engineers is a proposal to go out for a public rulemaking on what the reasonable cost should be for surplus water storage contracts.
Okay, I want to submit to you that the Corps cannot pick and choose which laws it follows, and that if you charge, that would be indicating that for more than 60 years you have not followed the law, that you will encounter litigation if you decide to charge. And I would certainly encourage you in this study to make the right determination, which is that in fact these states are entitled to water which you've just acknowledged if they draw it out of the river, and to punish them for providing land to protect downstream interests from flooding is not a reason to charge them for water.